Hey folks, welcome back to Parallel Dimensions. I'm Nate and we're back on the Packard. And the object of this video is to polish this turd. We'll be messing with a window. We'll be messing with the hood, some paint, the interior, more paint, the seats, even the trunk here. So hang out with me and we'll get this sucker polished. Hey guys, doing some boring stuff here today that you could appreciate, so I just figured I'd let you know on that. So I'm currently cleaning up the stainless trim that goes on this car. And go to the door jamb and then on that front door, and that's pretty much it. So what we're doing right now anyway, I'm going to kind of take you through it. And so we have all that stuff sitting right here. And one thing I do want to tell you, we're not doing a super fine job. We're getting it good enough. Good enough. And so what we're looking at here is, you know, it's pretty beat up. We're just trying to make it look better. Not perfect, not mirror, just better. Now then, the only thing I'm going to do that is WD-40 quadruple aught steel wool. Make sure you get the finest you can. It comes in triple aught, double aught, single aught, and then the stuff you clean an oven with. But you want that really fine quadruple aught. Reason for that is it puts less of a grain in it. And to do this, here, let's do it right here. A little WD-40, some of that steel wool. Just go through it, and this is going to get quite a bit of your heavy, well, not heavy, but smaller scratches out. And while this is not going to produce a mirror finish look, it's getting you halfway there. Because if you want the mirror look, you're going to have to start out with essentially fine sandpaper and work your way down, and then you're going to have to use stuff like the stuff I have right here. We're not going to be doing that, but what you would do, and then they sell this at Harbor Freight, is that high polish stuff. Yeah, and it's essentially just a wax stick. It's Rue, I believe it's called. But you got to work yourself up. You know, you got what we got here. Oh, this is the aggressive compound. So you'd kind of start out with the, what is this? Fast cut. No, this is the more aggressive stuff. And then you'd work yourself to the black stuff, and then finally the high polish. And what you would do is you would essentially get a cotton wheel on a motor of some kind, perhaps a polisher or whatever you want. They also sell these cotton wheels at Harbor Freight. Get that sucker spinning, get that stuff on there, and just go to town. Go to town, like sound effects, until you can see your face in it. But that's not what we're trying to do today. Just go, go, go. And that way, if there's any kind of paint or adhesive or any kind of weird stuff like that, you can get it off. And perhaps in a future video, I don't know, can you see that little dent right there? Can you see it? Can you see the little dent?
Do you see the little dot? Do you see it? Do you see the little dot? In the corner of my eye where the tears drain out.
At any rate, you can hammer those out and then sand and polish, and it'll be like it's never been there. We're not doing that today. But I may put out a video in the future to do that. At any rate, let's go hard until you're happy. And basically what this is doing, and ordinarily I don't like doing stuff on this, especially on chrome, because essentially you're putting a grain in it. When you polish metal, a lot of metals have various finishes, you know, 3 or number 4, which is essentially putting a grain in it. It makes it look cloudy-ish, and that's why we're using the finest we can, the finest steel wool we can, not necessarily the finest, we can. But the reason I wouldn't recommend it on chrome is because, especially like around these round parts, you're gonna start going and you're gonna start to see swirls. And even if you do a really good job, like you buff it afterwards, you're gonna get in the sunlight and you're gonna see the sun reflecting off of it, and you're gonna see halo around it. You're gonna see like swirls. And I've taken particular care of this car, and I actually did do the mirror polish on most of this trim, and it looks quite nice. But the swirls thing is kind of nasty, I think. Depends on how much you care, really. Anyway, back to it. So once you're done with your steel wool and your WD-40, just get some regular off-the-shelf chrome polish, whatever flavor you like. Let's get enough piece of this. Get it on there, and I do the exact same thing. Rub and rub it, rub it, rub it, rub it. Gotten pretty good at this, folks. Unnecessary jokes, yeah. And once you do that, just wipe it back off. And doesn't here, where's a good comparison spot? Okay, so it's, you know, you got this kind of nastiness, and then we're slightly better, right? Better than it was. And you just do that to the whole thing, or until you're tired of it, and then you have something better to look at. And that's nice. Not a whole lot of work for something better, a step up, at any rate. Anyway, I hope you guys found that interesting. Because remember, you don't have to have fancy pants to do a fancy dance. Back again doing some pretty work on the Packard. I'll show you what I've been up to. So those are those parts I was polishing, and they look damn good. Those were all painted all over spray, and so I just taped them all off, used paint remover, because I could have just taken them off, but I don't know how the clips work. And I figure if I yank them off, I'll wind up breaking half the clips and then have to source them from somewhere. So I didn't want to do that, so I just taped them all off and then paint removered them, and they look slick. I also removed the wheels, got new tires, and painted the rims. In addition to that, I used that same color, taped off all of this, and painted this little surround, and it's fairly close to the original color of the car, which is that right there. It's just all sun faded, but whatever. Off-white, ivory, antique looking esque stuff. I'm about to do the same thing over here. Just got started taping things off, and as you can see, you know, it's gonna look much better. But first I have to paint remover all this stainless trim, because somebody just oversprayed the hell out of that. But anyway, just trying to get her more beautiful so that I can sell it and move on with other projects. Oh yeah, I had this other thing I wanted to share with you, and that's what I'm gonna do about this. I did finally pressure wash it, and somebody did not do very good prep work on the hood. Clearly, side note, yes, I know that doesn't go there. That's to a 50 Chevy, but it came with the car and it looks good, so it's going there. At any rate, I think I'm gonna sand this and do a little patina, sort of try and blend things in, and kind of, I'm not gonna repaint it or anything. I'm just gonna go with what we got. And then I think with that same color that I put on the wheels and the side here, I'm gonna do a little something like this to the car with that same color to kind of have a little more cohesiveness to it. So I'm kind of excited about that. And I can also put the skirts back on, and I may do a similar thing to that. Again, just a little bit of cohesiveness so that it looks respectable. You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited for that, and I'll let you know when I get somewhere with that. Hi folks, me again. So, we've been dealing a little bit with the exterior of the car, and she's looking kind of nice. We got some of that chrome shined up, a little bit of paint going on, and in addition to that, started to move to the interior a bit and kind of cleaned up the floors and got some paint on them so they don't flash rust. So that's nice. I think I'm gonna here eventually begin painting the jambs, probably that same color that we painted the outside here and the wheels. But in addition to that stuff, I've also been working on the interior as far as the door cards and everything. So door handles, door pulls, whatever. Got the plastic bits, got those cleaned up and, you know, rattle can painted. And then there's a metal piece that goes on top of that, just like that. Excuse me. And got some foam on that, got those cleaned and painted. Got some foam on that, and if that's too squishy, got more foam to redo that. At any rate, so we can add some door handles eventually, and then I started working on the door cards. So we got the front doors here, front door there, and then what will be the back doors. At any rate, that's a start. Also, in addition to that, I got me a new window for that driver's side, so you can get rid of that ugly thing and have all the windows in the thing at least. And I sourced this from a local glass shop that the business I work for also works with. That's Lewis Street Glass. Shout out Lewis Street Glass. And they also gave us the window setting material, gasket, rubber, whatever. So we're going to be putting that on today, and I'll show you how. Okay. Well, whatever. So, with our wetted down, don't get it on the inside because you don't want it in between the glass and the stuff. You don't want that to be any more slick. We want this stuff. Let me get a little more on here. There we go. Well, this thing is twisting a little bit. Whatever. So let's see. We're gonna start your side. So that's out. This is in. Yep. Okay. So let's go. Well, that goes on there nice. I like that. Give her a little tap-a-roo. Alright. Fantastic. Anyhow, we gotta get this mess out of here. There we go. Goodbye. Alright. So let's raise our... Well, I guess I can't access it down there, can I? Up there, rather. Okay. Surprisingly enough to me, the only thing holding this on is a clip and a washer. So that's simplicity rules. Let's see. Get this sucker out. Ow! Yep. And where are we at? And a washer. And then another rubber washer to the inside. Alright, so this is awkward. I've never done this. So this is in. Is all this stuff gonna work out, please? Oh, I don't like this. don't like glass. What's the good? I don't know. There's somebody watching this. Like, no, you stupid bastard. Oh, well, hold on. Guess I could have started that there. Anywho, my apologies. I'm just gonna be bewildered and try and figure this out. I wonder if this comes out and I could put this in after the fact. It seems loose enough. Alright. Are you just gonna come out for me? That'd be swell. Alright, yes. This channel does come out now to allow me to put that glass in much easier. Hopefully it goes in as easy as it came out. Alright, finally got it in there. Got the washer and the holder clip put back on at the bottom. So now she's, you know, wiggly because we took the little guide thing on this side out, so she's gonna be wiggly. But I just had to figure it out ever so carefully. It kind of went like this, if that makes sense, and then got her down in there and attached. So now I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to jam this sucker in there. Assumingly roll it all the way down, stick it in, and then this end catches on a little clip that's located in the bottom down here. And yeah, I'm gonna spare you that, but I'm gonna do that, and hopefully we have this window in there. I'm enjoying this. Yes! It goes in. It is in. That channel went in very easily. This whole thing was far easier than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to fight me the whole way. I think my own stupidity fought me a little bit. But that'll happen, folks. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Yes! First time ever putting in a window. Yes! Doesn't that rule? You love that? You love that! I love that. Alright. So I can stop thinking about that. So, and we're gonna mess around with this eventually here. I'm excited. She's starting to take shape, folks. Okay, so now that we got our window in, I think we're gonna move on to a little bit of interior. And so I have cut out door cards out of some excess Formica, you know, 1/8 inch fiberboard, whatever it is. And I went and bought 75 of the little clips that go in there. And I also made, I guess those are vapor barriers out of the same material. So let me show you that. So here are the door cards I was talking about, and here are those clips I was talking about. And there are a bunch of them again. These 75 of them. Pretty sure I broke a couple, but anyway. To each of these, I epoxied them onto it because I got them fitted in the right position. So they fit, so now the next thing is to upholster them. And so for that, I got some 1/2 inch foam from a local place, and it looks like I got just enough. The 4th door card is behind me, by the way. Anyway, so we'll work on getting that on there. And then it's going to be time to actually upholster it. For that, I got this tan cream colored vinyl and some black vinyl. The idea for that is top third going to be black, and then lower 2/3 is going to be that cream vinyl stuff. And the intention is doing a pleat kind of like what you see here. Basically the idea will be about every 2 inches stitch a line all the way to the top once the two colors, you know, stitch the top and the bottom together, and then come up and just some lines every 2 inches. Hopefully I can make that straight. Got a sewing machine over there to try and do that, but I'm learning here, folks. I don't know how well I'm gonna do, but we're sure gonna find out. Hey folks, so I got the other 3 done, so I thought I would show you how I did all those on the 4th one. So alright, and there we go. So now all that's left is to tighten that up and affix it on the back side. Cut the holes for the window cranks and the door opener, and put the handle back on. That'll be looking pretty slick, I think. So we are currently waiting on paint to finish our driver's side before we put the door panels in. Got a lot of it done, but not the outside and underside, and a little bit, you know. See what I'm saying? Most of that, but none of that. So while we wait on that, oh, we did get the driver's side done. Isn't that looking nice? I'll clean it up, you know. And I'll get some escutcheons. At any rate, looking nice, isn't it? Digging that. As you can see here, I've knocked the front seat out. While I'm waiting on paint, I'm gonna go ahead and screw with this floor, and you can see it needs it. You can see my borders, what I'm going for. What this here is right there. So I'm just trying to get the general shape and figure out where to cut based on that shape. Before I do any of that, I'm going to cut or paint the bottom side so that it can be, so the whole thing doesn't flash rust. You know what I'm saying? Then eventually I'll paint the top, but that's where we're at, doing things, waiting on things. happy with the way this thing is coming along. Lately, after I got the door panels done, I've been putting paint remover, taping off and removing all the paint on all the trim, and razor blading all of the overspray off the windshield as well, all the windows. But yeah, these really popped once they weren't black. I don't know if light gets it, but I'm pretty happy. So all the shiny stuff is shiny, back windshield included. Remember all that was black? Looks fucking good. I'm happy about that. But at any rate, so what we're doing now is hood stuff. Two things. One is I'm going to tape off to do this thing that we were talking about to kind of match the design I did on the skirts. Yeah. So we're going to go double that on this hood. So in addition to that, well, here, let me show you this. So this car came with the Packard emblems, all except the D. We need the D. The Packard emblems, which are not to this car. However, the I believe it's the 400, the Patrician, and whatever, the bigger, more expensive not the bigger, but the more expensive models than this. And they went right here on the front of the hood. And well, here's our center. You can see there's one, and then 3 more to this side, 3 more to that side. Anyway, all of the hoods came. You can see these pockets. That's where they would have been for the more expensive version. And so, since I have them, I'm gonna put them on. But anyway, so it's a hood afternoon for me. Okay, we got everything centered and laid out. All our center lines and all that good stuff. A thing I did notice about, let's see, we got P-A-C-K-A-R, need the D. C has vertical mounting nubs, whereas the rest of them horizontal. Thought that was interesting. I don't know what's going on with C. It might be a different year. Not sure. Kind of interesting though, but we accounted for that first. Let's get drilling. Very neat. Let's see. Looking nice. That K looks a little cockeyed. Yeah, I might have to warble out that hole. Everything else seems alright. That R looks a little cockeyed too. Not too bad though. Get that cleaned up and get the retainers up on the back side here and take all this tape off. There we go, baby. Done ski. Lighting's wrong, but you get it. Good enough. Onto the hood painting. Okay, so now that we've reestablished our parallels, as it were, now look, make sure they look nice and straight. It does. This side got a little wonky do at the top, but that's all gonna taper off. This is the shorter tong, if you will. So now we gotta work on establishing where everything's gonna meet and taper in. So let's do that. Okay, so this is where we're at right now. You can see what I'm going for. She's not quite finished, not quite trimmed out yet, but that is going to be the same color as these wheels and that trim over there. At any rate, I'm considering sharpening this to more tooth-like instead of wedge-like, and I may even take this thin tape and go up the center of each of these ribs and have 8 instead of 4. I might do that, but we're gonna, I'm feeling it out as I go, looking at it and adjusting accordingly. And you might be wondering, why, Nate, did you not film you taping all this off? You know, everybody likes those fast forward videos and stuff, and it's because I wanted to have a beer and a cigarette. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to do that in front of y'all. I'm trying to be professional-esque. Okay, so we did the hood stuff. I actually did come through and try and pinstripe it. Not the most professional thing you'll ever see, but you know, whatever. Alright, man. We did the letters. Go pack R. Go pack ours. At any rate, also got in here and tried to clean the dash and spiffy up the gauge cluster and, you know, all the shiny things in here. So not looking too bad. So you might ask me, Nate, what's next? You keep finding things to do with this. Well, for me, it's the seats. If you'll recall, they were some kind of blue or purple velour, and they're not quite that now. And I want to tell you, I went to Walmart because my plan for these is to dye them black, just because. Might as well, it might look more cohesive and less weird. At any rate, so I went to Walmart to get black dye, and I came across color remover. It's called RIT, R-I-T, color remover. And it works. You just gotta get some water close to boiling, mix it up, and pour it on. And it did. It melted away a lot of the purple, blue velour colors. So that ought to lend itself way better to being dyed black. So I'm feeling good about that. And the deal with that is I don't feel like recovering it. That seems like next guy problem. You know what I mean? Not next guy problem, but you know, somebody's gonna have to make it theirs. You know, like pick a color of carpet, maybe recover the seats. There's no springs going up your ass. So I'm just trying to get it as good as I can. I feel like dyeing them black might be the thing to do because they're already so sun bleached. You can see here there's color. Depending on how well those go, and so far so good, I'll be yanking this boy out to do the same thing and then dye it as well. And then as far as that goes, I kind of want to address this because it's really rusty and it's to the point where it might actually break through the roof. You can see the it does have a red primer on it, but it ain't gonna bode well too much longer for this. And if I'm pulling the seat out anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do my little acid trick, which is phosphoric acid diluted with water to dissolve rust and make it a paintable surface. I did that to the floor, and it makes it good. It puts a coating on it. It turns the rust into whatever it does. Look into it. I don't know. It converts the rust to something that holds on to paint really well and protects against further rust or flash rusting. At any rate, so that's next. Trying to get her pretty, folks. Alright, so here's the finished product. I did dye them black. They just kind of turned purple again. Which, whatever. As good as I'm going to get them. Not too upset about that. It looks pretty nice. Also did a package tray. Pretty happy about that. Also did sun visors. Also pretty happy about that. Another thing I did was polish up the dash a little bit using just, you know, car paint polish. Oh, also I did do the acid wash on the roof. Cleaned it all off after that with a baking soda neutralizing mixture, and then painted her black. So hopefully that rust is not going to be an issue, and eventually somebody can put a headliner in this sucker. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the character that this car has become. And finally, I just prettied up the trunk a little bit, cleaned her out, scraped out some rust, painted it. And this is still an issue down here. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I may do nothing. The thing I may do is remove all this seam sealer crap, because it looks like this is just an insert, so likely it's spot welded. I might be able to chisel under there and take that whole thing out, which will make it easier to flip over, add metal to, and make it right. But we'll see if I get to that. Hey folks, thanks so much for watching the transformation of this Packard. All things considered, a lot of work went into it, but I think she's a completely different animal, and now a platform that somebody can use to make it theirs. And this is likely the last video you're going to see on that, because I plan to sell it sometime soon, ideally. If you have any interest in that, drop down in the comments and let me know. Maybe we can work something out. In addition to that, I'm going to also work on selling that bus. And hopefully spring 2026, I will be able to get back on that 59 Impala you keep seeing. Been a while, and I'd really like to get back to it. At any rate, thank you guys, and remember, you don't have to wear fancy pants to do a fancy dance. Take it easy.